Hello, I'm Bill Shoke, President and CEO of Wespay. Welcome to the Payments Perspective Podcast, where we help you to navigate your payments journey one episode at a time. We bring together industry leaders to discuss timely and relevant payments topics and explore the most important issues impacting our industry. The Payments Perspective Podcast is brought to you by Wespay, where our mission is to build and share knowledge to guide members through their payments journey, from concept to operation.
Welcome back to the Payments Perspective Podcast by Wespay. My name is Connie LaChance, Vice President of Education and Training here at Wespay. And today I am pleased to welcome Kevin Miyamoto, co-founder and CEO at Identifee. And our topic today is going to be all about artificial intelligence and payments, some of those pitfalls and potentials as well. So welcome, Kevin. I'm so glad you could join us today.
Hey, Connie, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
You are Kevin, right?
Yes, okay. I am Kevin. Also go by Moto. Also go by, as my 4-year-old daughter likes to call me, Moto, the Madagascar hippo. I'll pretty much answer anything at this point.
All right. Well, Kevin, go. Okay, so we're going to officially have you go ahead and introduce yourself, though, to our audience, and of course, tell us a little bit about Identifee. What do you guys do over there?
So my name is Kevin Miyamoto. I'm co-founder and current COO of Identifee. Also go by Moto. So seriously, if you see me at the next Wespay conference, Moto is totally fine. I will not be offended. Identifee is an AI engagement platform that makes it really easy for banks and credit unions to have meaningful, data-driven conversations with their customers. And we've specifically rolled out our AI components that were built in the platform into another product that we call IDA, which is the Identifee Data Assistant that's been getting a lot of traction with, especially in the credit union and community bank space, because it's essentially an AI platform built for your internal teams and your customers that you can train, configure, and deploy within 2 minutes and zero tech required. So lots of really exciting things there. But thanks for having me. Really excited to talk about AI. It's been a hot topic with pretty much everyone, right? I'm sure you get questions all the time about this. I've been going to a lot of conferences, and AI is brought up for almost every conversation, every session. There's always some component of AI. So
it is definitely out there. I'll admit I've used it a little bit myself, right? So,
but never for work on work computer.
Never. No,
that's the important thing, Connie. Remember that.
Right. That's right. So we're saying AI, it's artificial intelligence. So before we actually dig into some of the details on today's call, go ahead and give us, the folks on the call that may not quite know what we're talking about when we say AI, if you can give us a real quick 30-second definition of what artificial intelligence is.
Happy to do so. And there's a bunch of kind of different versions of AI, but AI is essentially technology that allows or enables computers and machines to act like humans and think like humans. But most folks today are hearing about what's called generative AI or Gen AI, which is, it's really a type of machine learning that uses AI to create new content. So most folks here have heard of ChatGPT. So it's Gen AI that can create text. It also could do images, videos. So generative AI specifically is what most folks are hearing about today. And again, it's a machine learning that uses AI to create new content.
Perfect. All right. So let's go ahead and put this now into the perspective of payments. So how can we in our industry use this type of technology to improve payments today?
So that is a great question. And I don't want to say there are endless use cases for this, but there are so many use cases and more are being discovered daily. So a simple one would be lots of different, let's say that I'm a corporate and there's a bunch of different rules that I need to follow as it pertains to the types of payments and what goes along with each payment. Well, if I had AI that was loaded in with, a lot of policies or rules or procedures, before I go to initiate payments, I could go ahead and just ask AI, hey, what is the rule around this type of payment? And it would come back with an answer, right? Similarly, if I'm on the bank or credit union side, let's say I'm working in ops and I get either returns or various types of payments, same kind of use case where if I had access to a database that had all the rules of all the different payment types right there, rather than me going through and looking at a book or a PDF or searching online,
Right.
I could ask, and that takes time, right? Even if I know it, it still takes time for me to look it up. I could use AI to find the answer in just seconds. But not only that, Connie, if you think about it, and I know I'm now rambling now, this isn't just for payments, but think about it from a workflow perspective. Let's say, again, you're that same employee that works at an operations team in bank. So you might get a customer email or an internal email from a team member. You might then have to look up the policy and then come out with an interpretation of that policy and then write an email back to your coworker or to your customer. It happens 20 times a day, so people don't really think about it, but really that adds up. There's a lot of if I send out 20 emails, that's like half of my day right there, just like looking at email, finding answers, and then responding. And so with AI, to do those tasks, to get that email, to look up the rule, and then draft an email back to your colleague or to your customer, takes maybe 20 seconds. So rather than taking 30 minutes, it takes 20 seconds. But if you add that up over time, it just is such a big time save. And that is like the simplest use case for AI. But if folks in operations aren't spending time on manual tasks, they're doing more productive things like identifying fraud trends and so on and so forth. So it's just huge implications across payments, entirely. We didn't even talk about the data, finding abnormalities or looking at payment trends or analyzing data, getting access to data quicker. There's just a whole number of use cases around it.
Yeah, and definitely for somebody it might be difficult for them to maybe regurgitate their thoughts. It's right, but you just got to put it in better, present it a little bit better.
Oh, for sure. Like I am a horrible writer. Okay. So for me to, read something and think about how can I write this in an email to make it sound, better. Not like my 4-year-old daughter wrote it. It takes me time, right? So for me, that email example, it's not 30 minutes. It's more like 45 minutes if I'm writing a customer email. So AI has been a game changer from that standpoint.
Yeah. So thinking about that, then when we think about that, like what we normally do as people, right? I guess sometimes there's some fears out there that will AI actually replace some of the current jobs that are being performed by humans if we can have artificial intelligence do this instead?
So at this, could it ever happen? Maybe in the future, right? Like, is it going to happen anytime soon? I think the answer is no. It won't happen. Now, will it streamline a lot of manual tasks that people are performing today? Absolutely. Will those people be displaced or will they find other value-added activities? I think it'll be the latter. So rather than spending time manually performing a task manually, AI has the power to really streamline that entire process. And so what I think we're going to see, Connie, is a bunch of new roles open up. Let me tell you an example I always like to share. There's a study last year by Gartner, and I forgot the exact numbers. I could look this up, but a huge proportion of searches online will actually start to be performed by AI. So think about the technology today. There's AI applications, and I can even do this with our own tool, right? Where if you say, hey, Kevin, I want to go to Japan. I have $5,000 to spend. I want to hit up Tokyo and Kyoto, create a 7-day itinerary with flight and hotel information.
Oh, nice.
It'll do that. Okay. And that's all AI, but AI has to find the information somewhere. So it's out there crawling the web and looking for information. And so what Gartner said, which is there's going to be a huge number of, a huge percentage of searches will only be performed by AI. So lots of organizations kind of need to think about how to optimize their website so that it's, being properly read and analyzed by AI. I just think that's fascinating.
So we're giving that right information is getting out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's it's something that it definitely makes sense, and it might make organizations kind of rethink how they're laying out their website or what they're putting out there. Right. So there's so many unknowns. But back to your original question, I don't think it's going to replace
Not
anytime soon. I think new roles will be created though.
Yeah. So I think you mentioned this a little earlier. You talked about, you kind of threw out the word fraud out there. And so, of course, as you know, unfortunately, there's fraud, and it isn't really specific to any one particular payment channel. So we are seeing it everywhere. So can you tell me a little bit about how AI can help us combat fraud instead of it just kind of doing it, right? Help us to combat the fraud itself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, what's great about AI is that it can take in an enormous amount of data and
Mhm.
kind of analyze it, and at least with generative AI, kind of analyze it and give you back a response kind of in easily understandable tone, right? So as an example, if you plugged in your CRM and you wanted to say things like, hey, show me all of the ACH volume for ABC company over the last 6 months, it'll do it just like that, right? And
Right.
so you think about it from kind of a fraud prevention standpoint. If folks have access to information in the moment, they'll have better data driven conversations. So the same thing would apply with fraud. If I have more data, let's say that I say, hey, show me the ACH activity month over month, they might say, hey, this is actually a brand new account that just opened up. Well, it's like, that's suspicious, right?
Right.
And you could have any number of KPIs that you're tracking, but again, being able to get access to information just within a few seconds is a total game changer, to combat fraud.
So it's something that we can add to that fraud detection,
Yeah, yeah,
commercially
yeah. And
reasonable
again, in
fraud
that case,
detection that we're using.
yeah, and again, in that case, kind of going back to your previous question, AI wouldn't be replacing people looking at fraud. It's a tool to enhance their capabilities, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really the application for AI at this point. It's how can I streamline manual tasks and increase productivity?
Right. So what are some of the negative aspects, though, of fraud? We or of AI. We heard that it can help us. AI can help us in lots of many ways, but what are some of the negative points of
Yeah,
AI?
yeah. And unfortunately, with every good, there's a bad, right? So I don't think you've seen this, but even within our tool and others out there, um, AI can sound very human-like,
Yeah.
okay? And so much so that with the tools right now, if I had a 10-second sound clip of me talking, or of you, better yet, of you talking, Connie,
Mhm.
and I went online, I looked at your Facebook or Instagram, I can get information. I can pretty easily try to simulate who you are. And if people were to call in or talk to the AI, it would sound very similar to you. It's almost scary
That
how
is
good the
scary.
technology worked. And in fact, there's technology where we'll be having a conversation like this, but really it's AI just answering back and forth. And again, you can make it with your own voice and you can train it with your own content so it looks and acts like you. That's very, very easy to do nowadays. Okay. So I say that because I go back to there's a unfortunate case I heard 6 to 12 months ago. I can't figure out the exact date where someone pretended to be a young woman who was kidnapped, or an AI bot was pretending to be a young woman who was kidnapped and called her mother asking for ransom. But really, the whole time the daughter was safe. It was just an AI bot, right? So
I think I
I
heard that
really
one.
do think you're going to hear some things like that. And I know there's AI out there that's being developed to help detect whether it's an AI voice as opposed to a human voice, but we're going to blur the lines very soon where you're
Yeah.
not going to know if it's AI generated or human. That's already there, but it's only going to get really, really good over the next few years.
Yeah. So you mentioned that one scenario where the daughter, the mother thought her daughter was kidnapped. What are some other things that criminals are using AI for to commit fraud?
Yeah, I mean, again, being able to um, just get so much, being able to absorb so much data and having it analyze that data, come up with likely responses or next steps, like it's very good at that, especially with like text content. So again, being able to, and we live in a day and age now, where kids put everything online,
I
so
know. Yeah.
Instagram or Snap or whatever, right? So being able to get in personal information and load it into an AI tool and have it think and act similarly to that person. Again, it's not going to be 100%, but it's pretty good, and it's just extremely easy to do nowadays. So that would be, for me, that is like one of the biggest things with AI is being able to gather data and impersonate. I think that's something that we're going to hear a lot about in the next few years.
Right. Yeah. Pretty scary, but we just got to be diligent and have things in place to probably just make sure that isn't, like if somebody's calling me, right, that's not my son calling me. That is actually somebody fake.
Yep.
Had conversations around, we have that code word, right? If you're calling me and you don't say something a particular way, then I know that that's not you, because that's only something we know personally.
Well, and Connie, let me chime. Let me chime in again too, because we kind of joked at the top of the call. You said, "Oh, never use ChatGPT," right?
Yeah.
But actually, one of the biggest risks I see is that for FIs, because they're either writing an AI policy and they might take 3 years for it to get approved, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't stop their employees from using ChatGPT. Unless you are unaware of kind of what's been happening with AI, the vast majority of folks, especially younger folks, have used ChatGPT and see the power in it. And the reason I say that is because if I'm at a bank or credit union and they say, "Hey, Kevin, I need you to do this thing." Cool, it's going to take me 5 hours. Okay. But I also know if I plug it into ChatGPT, it could take me 20 minutes. I personally would rather be safe and just do the thing like within my bank environment. But a lot of folks would just send it to ChatGPT, even though it's not secure, right? And there are secure versions, but the free one that most people use, if someone were to upload documents or proprietary information, that's out there. That's in the public domain. So the reason the reason I say all of this is because I think the biggest challenge for FIs today is making sure that they have AI solutions in place that their team will actually use, so that their employees don't go outside of their platforms to leverage the benefits of AI. Like them going to ChatGPT, it should never happen, but unfortunately it will, because there's going to be FIs who aren't providing.
So I guess my final question then, I think that really ties into this last one here, is then how important is it for the financial institutions to ensure that AI is a focus of their payment strategy? Like, how important is that then for them to take that into account?
Oh, it's extremely important. This isn't, like Bitcoin or a blockchain. AI is here, and it's going to be here forever, and it's going to change the way everyone works. There's a quote by a Wells Fargo exec, I forgot his name, that we use in some of our one of our slides, but it was basically, if you don't have an AI strategy, I would argue you don't have a strategy at all. Like AI is literally going to be everything. And again, let me kind of give you a use case of what I'm talking about. So if and again, you could do this with our tool. It's not a commercial for our tool, but I'm just telling you this so you can picture with me the power of AI. So let's imagine that you had AI that was linked to your CRM and Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft Calendar and Microsoft OneDrive. Okay, rather than actually logging into any of those platforms, you can have a normal conversation with an AI and say, "Hey, what are the 5 meetings I have coming up next week? For all 5 of those meetings, when was the last time I met with them? Pull their volume over X months." Great. Create an email and send the following email to them and log that all back into my CRM. Like there's going to be technology in place where, in that instance, me as the user, I'm actually not logging in anywhere. I'm just using AI to fulfill the tasks that I used to have to sit in front of a desktop to perform. So long story short, AI is going to really change anything. And so I would really highly recommend everyone to dive in and at least start playing around with it. And my other recommendation for everyone here is, it's important for policies. I get that AI doesn't need to be some huge lift in some big project. We always recommend start with something small, have a very specific use case in mind that you think AI would help. Start small, test it out, deploy the technology, and then if it makes sense, then roll it out to the broader team. But now is the time to really get familiar and start playing around with AI.
Yeah, definitely. Well, all right. Well, I guess that's it for today. So thank you, Kevin. I really enjoyed it. You're great. I really enjoyed chatting with you today. So thank you so much. So if anyone here on today's session would like to contact Kevin at Identifee, their contact information is going to be available in the show notes. So take a look at the description of the podcast. And of course, I'd like to thank our members for listening in. And if we have anybody listening today that's interested in becoming a member of Wespay, please visit our membership page as well. We'll have that link as well in the show description. And of course, as always, you can always subscribe to the Payments Perspective podcast anywhere podcasts are available. I want to thank you again, Kevin, for joining me. And please join us next time as we continue to work together to shape the future of payments. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.